Hi, my name is Siona Gupta, and I'm going to be talking about our answer to going to Mars and beyond that, and that is ion thrusters. So let's get into it. Before I get into exactly what is an ion thruster, let's answer the question, what is a thruster? I know I have told my friends about ion thrusters and they'll be like, that's cool, but what is a thruster? So, a thruster is basically the engine of a rocket, similar to like how we have an engine for a car. Thrusters generate the energy, the power for a rocket to go throughout space and explore the moon or Mars, and basically it's the rocket's way to go throughout space. So ion thrusters utilize this process of electron bombardment to basically create their fuel/energy. And it's better if I draw this to show you. So let's look into that. So here is our ion thruster, and this specifically is our chamber. So chamber, and this is where we're going to basically generate thrust. And we're going to specifically utilize a process called electron bombardment. So electron bombardment is basically when you are trying to separate the positive ions of a neutrally charged molecule, and you do this by bombarding a neutrally charged molecule with electrons, and this causes it to be unstable and causing the negative electrons to separate it from the positive ions. So that's basically what electron bombardment is, and that's what's gonna happen in this chamber. So we're gonna have a discharge cathode, which basically injects, it's a reservoir of electrons, and it's gonna inject a bunch of electrons into our ion thruster. So here's our little electrons, just chilling. And they're not the prettiest, but they will do. And our neutrally charged molecule will be our fuel molecule. And let's just say it is xenon in this case. So here's xenon, and basically this is when electron bombardment is going to occur. So you see this little electron that's kind of close to the xenon. It is going to bombard or hit the xenon molecule. So let's move it so it hits it. So now they're colliding, and this causes the xenon molecule to separate. Oops, that is not right. Let's make these a little bigger. And so this causes it to separate into positive ions and negative ions. So here we see that. And the negative ions are going to be pulled to the side of the chamber because they're magnets keeping it in place so it doesn't leave the chamber. So let's move those to the chamber's edge. Let's move them to the chamber's edge. Okay. So these positive ions are going to move towards our electric grid, and that's where we're going to create our ion beam / plasma, which is basically going to generate thrust. So let me erase all this, and I'm going to show you what exactly happens in the electric grid. So let's get rid of all of this. Okay. And then let's just draw out this electric grid. So this electric grid is going to be both, there's going to be a positive charge side and a negative charge side. So, pause for a second. So as these positively charged ions move through the positive charge grid, this creates a plasma. So they are now in plasma form. And as these now plasma passes through the negatively charged grid, they generate this thrust to move forward. So this is where it gets accelerated. And here, let's just erase that. This is not too pretty. Okay. And that's where we get our ion beam. And that is our thrust. And here are our charged positive ions just moving through and giving a kick to the rocket to move forward. So that's basically how an ion thruster works. So ion thrusters sound like a pretty cool concept, but do you know what's even cooler? Seeing it actually work. Now granted, I don't have the resources to build like a gigantic ion thruster chamber that's gonna get us to Mars or beyond. But I do have the resources and a weekend to create a small scale ion thruster. Now granted, it works a little bit different than how a normal ion thruster works, but it still goes over this general process of converting electricity into thrust. So let's see a video of how it looks like when it's in action. Alright, so this is my ion thruster. I built it off a guide I followed on Magazine, and it basically gives an overview on how to build this. And it can typically take, I believe, a weekend to build this. So basically, this ion thruster works a bit different than the typical ion thruster that I was showing a demonstration before. Basically, this neon sign transformer transmits a current through the leads, through the wires, and then through the nails, and this electric current ionizes the air around this air in the area. So similar to how the chamber ionized the xenon and created positive ions, this electric current is ionizing the air. And so this ionized air is moving through, it's moving towards the copper couplings, and while the unionized air is actually giving the ionized air a push to move forward, therefore generating the thrust, which in the demo we can see it's pushing against the tissue. And it's not very powerful, so we don't see our ion thruster moving forward like that, but instead we can just see the demonstration of its thrust by how it pushes on the tissue. So that's it for my ion thruster. And that's a wrap on ion thrusters. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the advantages and disadvantages of ion thrusters and progress in the field, definitely go check out my Medium article. I'm going to link it in the description, and it will just give you a general overview about ion thrusters. So if this video isn't enough, definitely go check out that article. Alright, so that's it for now. I hope you were able to learn a lot more about ion thrusters and get hyped on space exploration.